Working for the Kreiters, 1958, January 21st, 2013. When I was 12 years of age, our neighbors, the Kreiters, came to ask Dad if I'd be able to work part of the summer holidays. There was never any discussion about money. My jobs would entail helping around the farm and looking after the kids if required. Dad said it would be okay for me to go. After all, we needed the extra money. A few days later, I left home to live with the Kreiter family. It didn't take long to get into it. The next morning, I was awakened at 5:30 and went out to the barn to help with the milking. Since they had 12 milk cows, that meant we would each have 4 or 6, depending on who came out to do the milking. This, along with separating the milk, took until about 8 o'clock when we came in for breakfast. After 1/2 hour, it was time to go out into the field to pick rocks or make hay. Making hay could involve anything from driving the horses or tractor to loading rectangular bales by hand and bringing them to the yard to stack them for winter. This was rather hard work, but it was farm work and we simply carried on. If we were working in the fields, lunch might be brought out to us. If we were hauling in the bales, we would have lunch when a load was ready to be brought back to the farmyard. At 4 p.m., we'd pack up our farm work and head home to start the chores. The cows had to be milked again and the cream separated before supper. By this time, I'd be getting pretty tired. After supper, I was assigned to look after the kids, to allow Mrs. Kreiter to do some of her household chores. After all, she had 5 children, from aged 8 down to a baby. I remember vividly one Sunday, Mr. Kreiter said that 2 radio stations were going to demonstrate true stereo reception. This was in the day of AM radios, so this was a really big thing. The radio announcer said that we would have to set up 2 radios, one on each side of the room. One should be placed on one radio station and the other radio on the second station. At precisely 7 p.m., both stations played the same music, but each radio played a slightly different version. When we sat in the middle of the room between the 2 radios, voila, we had stereo. Now that was something. After all, not many families actually had 2 radios to try out this magnificent experiment. I helped out at the Kreiters for 21 days, at which time they decided that they didn't need my help anymore, since the haying was pretty much done. They asked how much I wanted. I really didn't know, so I said, "Pay me what you think I'm worth." I received the grand sum of $25. When I got home, Mom scolded me a bit, saying that Stan could have earned $5 a day for making hay at LaFrance's place. Unfortunately, I didn't know any better. Money we earned was used to help the family, so I turned all the money over to Mom. She asked what I'd like to spend a little bit on, so I decided that I really wanted a Big Ben pocket watch. Now that would have been worth working for 3 weeks. The watch cost $4. Hey, now I was a big shot. Not many people had a Big Ben pocket watch. I carried it proudly wherever I went. We owned the farm south of Ardmore and rented the farm north of Ardmore from Roy Johnson. The farms were 7 miles apart. That meant work had to be done at both farms. Stan had to go plowing on the farm south of Ardmore. He said that he'd never know when to come home to the rented farm for supper, so I had to lend him my Big Ben pocket watch. The very first day I lent Stan my new pocket watch, it fell out of his pocket and got plowed under, somewhere in the field. There would be no hope of finding the watch, since it would likely be under 6 to 8 inches of dirt. I did go back and walk over that field many times, but never found the watch. So, after 3 weeks of farm work, all I had left was the memories of living and working with the Kreiters, and of course my first encounter with stereo sound.